Good morning. I'm Jim Csek with Kelowna Now. We're here with your Need to Know. And I have on the phone with me Ian Burns, our managing editor. Lots to get through this morning. Lots and lots and lots. Trump's still in the top of our stories this morning. An immigration sources tell us saying that large-scale deportations are on the way. I see a couple of states are pushing back. Gavin Newsom said he won't do it. Another Democrat has said they won't do it. So it's going to cause some problems, right?
Yeah, they have it's not quite the same as Canada, where there's an open question about who has authority over certain things, but they do have the sanctuary cities, don't they, in America, and they do have quite a lot of power, and I think Chicago, Los Angeles, the usual suspects, they've all forbidden their police officers from working with ICE, which is the immigration authority, the federal immigration authority. So I think that's going to be the conflict, that they're just not going to cooperate with this plan to deport people.
And then I've seen that even in Canadian news that the RCMP are stepping up their border patrol because they're expecting a big influx this way.
Well, I mean, I would advise anybody that's listening to this to get a map out and look at the border and ask themselves how many RCMP officers it would take to secure that border. I don't think it's possible, is it?
Yeah, we have the largest unprotected border, I think, in the world.
I think it's also just the largest border as well.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And then we have Russia on the other side of that with a little bit of ice between us. So people forget about that one too. If you pick up that map, look at the globe. Russia also shares a very large border with Canada.
Yep, and we've also got a border with Denmark and a maritime border with France.
There you go. Liberal ministers challenge over plans to delay election. There's been a lot about that. And, Holly Doan from Blacklock's broke that story too, saying that there's some backdoor meetings there where they're talking about extending the election, the date of the election, so that a few MPs can get their generous pensions.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to come off, though. It looks like it's not going to be a successful attempt. But yeah, it's also, there is an argument that it's kind of opportunistic from the Conservatives because they obviously expect to win quite a large majority at the next election, so they don't really think it's going to affect their MPs.
I mean, you'd think the Liberals and NDP would work harder in trying to garner votes instead of making Canadians even more angry.
Well, it's just kind of, it's a very unpopular move, isn't it? And I think people can see through it.
Yeah, robbing the till on the way out. Seems odd.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of these people, they're pretty young, aren't they? So it's going to be a long pension, a long time of getting a lot of money.
Yeah, it's their modern day version of Robin Hood, I guess. Steal from the poor and give it to themselves.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I also see the other side, which is that like MPs and former MPs, they should be able to live in dignity because they kind of represent Canada to an extent. But I mean, it's obviously a passionate argument, isn't it?
Yeah, but the rules were put into place. You have to serve 2 terms, and then to try and skirt that seems
absolutely odd. That's the thing that infuriates people. And then they've also claimed that it's actually just because Diwali, the Hindu festival, is on that day, so we have to change it for that purpose. Yeah. I mean, that's transparently false, isn't it? That's not their rationale, and everybody knows it.
Yeah. November 11th, Monday, there's ceremonies all over the Okanagan. So at 11 o'clock, there's a ceremony at the Cinepath in Kelowna City Park. This is a photo from a previous ceremony. So there's ceremonies in Rutland as well. At Centennial Park, there's ceremonies in West Kelowna, Peachland. So you can find ceremonies all over the place. So no shortage of place. And the weather looks like it's going to cooperate as well. So, and we're also going to be live streaming it. So on Kelowna Now. So if you can't make it out for some reason, you can watch the ceremony on Kelowna Now. Tom Dias. He's saying that as the Tories set to cut that federal housing program, he warns of consequences. And the feds have said, I mean, Dan Elbas has said that they're going to put that money into eliminating the GST instead. And reallocating.
This is quite an awkward one. This is an interesting story, actually, because Sean Fraser, who's the Liberal housing minister, wrote a letter to Tom Dias. It was almost like if you read the letter, it's almost like he's trying to recruit Tom Dias as a sort of like a Liberal partisan, saying like, will you say something? The Tories want to cut this. Will you defend it? So he's kind of trapped. And then, obviously the Conservatives who represent Kelowna on a federal level, they've said that they're going to get rid of this policy. So it puts them in a difficult position. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a good story on KelownaNow.com. You can go read that. There's quite a bit in there. So the unemployment rate's steady at 6.5 nationally, down a little bit. But the jobs number came in abysmal. Jobs number, they expected 27,200, came in at 14,500 instead. So there's a lot of talk from that we can expect another half-point rate cut.
Yeah. And then BC is doing better than a lot of other provinces, should be said.
The rate cut that the Fed made yesterday was 0.25. And there was some chatter out there that from Jerome Powell, they're asking if he would step down, or if because they're saying that Donald Trump might try to fire him, although he has said he wouldn't fire him. Powell says he won't quit either. So ER shutdowns, the ongoing saga. Lillooet, 21 this time. 21st time this year. We're going to get to that story, I imagine, because I think what was Oliver, 38?
I believe so, yeah.
I think we did that the other day, and this continues to go on. I think there was a 10% chance that the ER would be shut, or even more than 10%. The ER would be closed in Oliver when you needed services, right?
And it was 0 for Lillooet last year. So this is quite a new experience for those people. And then the other thing is they're told to go to Kamloops, which is a couple hours in the car. That's if that highway is open as well.
And so that highway is nothing but, I drove that highway once and actually made myself nauseous. I was already sick with the flu though, so I ended up getting quite nauseous from all the twisty turns. And if you do that in the winter, really tough slugging, right?
Especially if you're hurt as well.
Yeah. Or if you're waiting for an ambulance or something. No. So the BC election, we're supposed to be getting the final numbers here right away.
Yeah, well, there could still be an appeal, which would drag on a bit longer. But yeah, it looks like it's finally coming to an end. In
elections, we're still waiting for the results from the U.S. election. It looks like it's clearly a majority in the Senate. They have the 53 seats, and then I think CNN has called. I think there's 300. The Electoral College. It's a runaway there already, but they still have one more state to confirm. I think that's Arizona, which is leaning towards the Republicans. And then, but the House is still. I think there's a few more seats to be decided there, but they're pretty confident that they're going to get the House as well.
Yeah, I think. The analysts generally seem to be almost certain that they're going to get it. Yeah, they're going to have the House, they're going to have the Senate, the presidency, and I guess the Supreme Court as well.
Yeah. David Eby having a tough time convincing anybody from the Conservative Party to walk over and be a speaker, though.
Yeah, that's another bit of drama. That's going to be a difficult one to figure out.
Yeah. That port strike. Sounds like they're back at the negotiating table. This is definitely hurting small businesses or even medium-sized businesses in British Columbia for sure, and hurting the consumer. So,
I think it's even bigger than that. Like, this is very, very bad for Canada, isn't it? Yeah. And it's the reputational damage as well as economic damage, because we rely on foreign investment, don't we? That the golden FDI that everybody's trying to get, and this must make it a lot harder to sell Canada when there's a strike on trains, there's a strike in the ports. It's very unfortunate. Yeah,
and the stock market. We can't really see it there. That image is kind of blurred. But the Magnificent Seven have been doing extremely well since the election of, there you go, since the election of Donald Trump. They're all just soaring up the charts. Big. That's a 7-day increase in those stocks. And then if we look at it just from market cap, Nvidia has now overtaken Apple as the richest company in the world by market cap. And you can see that.
It's interesting. I suppose Trump has expressed his fury at various laws in the EU and also in Canada that are seen to punish these American tech companies. So I think maybe a lot of that is gambling on him intervening there.
Nvidia has a market cap now of $3.43 trillion, bigger than most countries. And Apple, at $3.38 trillion. Alphabet at, Alphabet's Google, $2.0 trillion. And Amazon at $2 trillion. And then Meta at $1.5 trillion. And then Tesla way down at the bottom, not even at $1 trillion yet, right? But having another strong day this morning.
It's impressive.
And big news out of the clothing retailers in Canada seem to do extremely well. Lululemon, an international brand now, has done extremely well. But Garage, these images here, Garage and Dynamite are to launch an IPO. And we haven't seen a lot of the Canadian IPO market, but Garage and Dynamite are going to be launching an IPO pretty quick. They seem to have similar type clothing. They're very popular with the young ladies in the mall. You see those stores. But Aritzia, another Canadian retailer, now moving into the U.S., does extremely well as well. You do a lot of shopping there with the wife at Garage or Dynamite?
Yeah, always, man. Always at Aritzia, trying to get the latest.
Yeah. Aritzia is a little more higher end, I think. I think Garage and Dynamite are more of the cheaper brands. I think I don't know for sure, but.
Is there a general explanation out there as to why Canada is so successful in this area?
I don't know. Lululemon surely, was an unbelievable brand, like even overtaking the likes of Nike and Reebok and those established brands, right? And just because they kind of stick with that one thing, whereas Nike kind of is all over the place too, right? But
yeah, a lot of money in tight pants.
There you go. Crypto continues to be strong with what they believe is a favorable government for them. So crypto, a huge move. You can see that move. This is a monthly chart of Bitcoin. You can see that the night of the election, you can see that big jump there, right? And then gold, again, on the opposite effect of that. Gold actually during that with strong U.S. dollar had a big plunge that night, and then obviously it's starting to recover now because I think gold is definitely still one of the reserve assets out there in the world. But it did have an opposite effect on the night of the election. Stock market doing extremely well still, though. Stock market, the Dow up. A lot of people I'm talking to say that, there's a lot of fear out there that Donald Trump will bring in a recession. I would say that they might be wrong in their calculation in that way because energy is really related to a lot of the inflationary pressures. We're already in a recession in Canada, but if you have cheaper energy, that's good for business and good for the economy and good for people, right? And I think what he's saying is that he's going to really push for cheaper energy. And obviously energy is one of the, tongue-in-cheek, literally fuels the economy.
Yeah, though there are big questions about labor supply, and particularly in the US, and that's the argument I've heard from a lot of people who are in favor of keeping the illegal immigrants in the US and not deporting them, instead giving them a pathway to citizenship. But apparently their argument is that it would cause inflation because there wouldn't be enough people.
I did hear him say though that he kind of tempered his remarks by saying there is a path to legal immigration. We need the immigrants. So I'm not sure how this all unfolds. But,
yeah, I guess it's both Elon and Trump have said repeatedly that they want immigration, don't they? They want legal immigration. But I suppose the question is the kind of jobs that these illegal immigrants do. They're usually not, you usually wouldn't be able to get a visa for that kind of work. But I don't know.
Peter Diamandis, and he said, smell has now, AI has now figured out how to recreate scents. And we've got a little video to show you how it's recreated the scent of a plum.
We used AI to digitize and rematerialize the essence of a plum. What we've done is we've cut a plum here, and we're going to put it into a vial where the scent that's leaving the plum is being trapped inside of this vial. And then what we can do is take this vial to a machine which can suck the air outside of this vial, which contains the smell of the plum, and then analyze those molecules one by one. And when we have that, we can then take that formula and then reprint it. If we've done the whole process correctly, the thing that ends up reprinted, which is just going to look like a clear liquid, is the distilled essence of the scent of a plum you've just cut into. And if they smell the same, it means that we've actually given computers a new sense. And the sense of smell is effectively the way that we turn the air around us into data.
What does it smell like?
Like the plum.
Pretty wild. I remember reading in a Richie Rich comic book, Smell-O-Vision, when they had television where you could get the smells. And there you go. We now have Smell-O-Vision.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be used in quite a cheeky way as well by certain people.
It is, yeah. It is interesting though. Like, I think that is just wild that they can do that, right? So, it might bring down the price of all those very expensive perfumes and that. Smell-O-Vision. Who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah, it really is the future.
There you go. And then Brian Lilly taking a swing at the Toronto Star, saying, "Are they really a serious paper?" Because like Taylor Swift in Toronto. Jason, are you going to Toronto for this one or?
Vancouver.
He's going to Vancouver. So apparently, it's such a big event, similar to the visit of a monarch or a pope, and she's according to the Toronto Star, the breaker of right-wing brains.
Fascinating, that really, isn't it? Equivalent of a monarch or a pope. I mean, is she really that big? I suppose you see her everywhere. Maybe it's true. Maybe she is that big.
Well,
she's bigger than the Beatles.
She's bigger than the Beatles. I'm going to go with no, but hey.
By certain statistical measures, I think she is, isn't she?
Yeah, well, by money. The Beatles never became billionaires, for sure.
Paul McCartney now is sitting on over $1 billion, I believe. But yeah, not at the time, they didn't.
Yeah. Didn't Michael Jackson buy the rights to the Beatles' music?
Yeah, and they had quite a falling out, Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney, about all that, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I think he got a lot of them back after Macca has reacquired a lot of them.
Right. Yeah, so then the auction is ongoing. I don't know if we were going to be able to scroll a little bit of that auction there. Oh, there you go. They got it up there. So there you go. So the auction's still ongoing. It's going on for the month of November on Kelowna now. So if you're looking for some stuff, lots of local products and services on the auction. So you can go in there and bid. You can set a reserve bid too, not a reserve, but max bid. So instead of going back and checking every day, you can go in there and you can say, the max that I'd bid on that service would be X, and then you could not have to check it all the time, and it'll send you an email if you get outbid. So all you can eat hot pot. Who doesn't want an all you can eat hot pot? Anything else out there, Ian? I know that there was some stuff, some really bad stuff going on in Europe. Was it in Denmark?
Amsterdam. In the Netherlands, yeah.
With Israelis being attacked in the streets. People.
Yeah, soccer game, I should say. The team from Tel Aviv and their fans being quite seriously hurt, and the videos, as usual, are all over social media, and they're quite distressing, I would say. Being referred to as a pogrom by some people.
Yeah, I just waved to somebody that I haven't seen for a while at the doorway. Again, Remembrance Day. It's a statutory holiday as well, so again, a long weekend for most people. If you could find some time to head out there, there's lots of places to attend the ceremonies. And again, if you can't attend the ceremonies, you can watch it on KelownaNow.com. We'll be live streaming the ceremony from Kelowna City Park at the Cenopath there. With that said, Ian, unless you got something else?
No, I think we've covered just about everything there.
There's our traffic report below us there. We always have a live shot now of the traffic flowing through Kelowna. Looks like it's flowing rather well, both east and west. Looks like a beautiful day as well. So we thank you for watching Kelowna Now. We'd like you to subscribe to the newsletter, of course. We send it out 365, 7 days a week. And if you would like the stuff you see on our YouTube channel, we ask you to subscribe and also hit that notification bell. We also have, KelownaNow.com. You can visit 24/7, 365 anytime for news, because we update the site all the time as well. And plus, we're doing this now daily. So other than weekends, so we're here 5 days a week, other than statutory holidays. We won't be back till Tuesday. And with that said, enjoy the long weekend, and remember where the Remembrance Days ceremonies are. And we thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
We don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.